I want to talk about addictions because I think it's a real important topic to discuss. I think too many people, I think they hide behind conversations, they avoid, and they're not really true and transparent with themselves. Fortunately for me, I'm aware when a situation arises and I face everything in my life head on. I don't make excuses for anything. I'm not interested in that because all it does is delays progress. So with me, I've spoke quite openly that I have a bit of a gaming addiction. And on the surface, it's not an issue, especially when I'm single, I live alone. It's up to me how I spend my time, where I invest my money, what I do. But I have bigger aspirations for myself than just a vice, a distraction, a hobby that becomes an addiction. So I'm recognizing that it's consuming more and more of my time than really I planned. I've got more projects to work on. I really enjoyed my writing, but it's like, for instance, I'm recording this video now. It's 8:45 in the morning. I haven't even slept. It's ridiculous. I mean, I feel quite awake, weirdly enough. My sleep pattern's all over the place to the point where I'm just passing out randomly. That's not a healthy place to get to. You don't know when your body's going to shut down, but once it does, it's like your battery just depletes and you just go, and then you just wake up and go, whoa. So, for instance, at the moment, the weather's terrible, like because you can't predict anything. It's like it gets dark too quick. You may as well just keep the curtains shut forever because it's demoralising. So I passed out on the bed. I can't remember what time. Woke up and it's 5 p.m. But I thought it was 5 a.m. because it was just darkness. The whole house was just dark. Um, and it's like I thought this is absolutely wild. It's only when I looked I realised it's PM. I think, for God, for that, I just thought I lost the whole day. And again, this all stems from the gaming. So, when I have one device or something, I can manage it, which is why, because I have an awareness, I'm not someone who can hoard gaming collections. I can't do it. It drives my head crazy. So I can't have multiple games consoles, for instance, because I'll feel that I have to get. It's not. I don't even know if it's value, but I just feel like it needs to be used. So if I had a PlayStation and an Xbox, for instance, if I'm playing the PlayStation, I'd naturally be feeling that I should be playing the Xbox. If I'm playing the Xbox, I feel I should be playing the PlayStation. Like, it's like they should be getting used. So of course you come off one, and then you'd feel the need to go on the other. And it seems crazy, but that's just where the mind goes. Um, so as a bit of an evolution of my setup, for instance, I've got a gaming laptop. It's connected to an ultra wide screen. That on its own I can manage. It's fine. Because I've got other things to do anyway. So in itself, it's okay. Once I add a layer to that, that's when it gets a bit like, wait a minute, I don't know how the hell I find the time for this. So at the moment, I'm hoping that the time I've invested at the moment is only for the moment while I set things up. So I recently, in Black Friday, I treated myself to a handheld gaming device. It's incredibly powerful. I'm super impressed by it. Asus ROG Ally. It's it's fascinating. It really is. You can play. I like Fortnite, so you can play Fortnite. I was literally playing Call of Duty, the new Black Ops 6 on it, and this is natively. This isn't some weird streaming thing, and it's literally raw power, and it looked incredible, just like my gaming laptop. Of course, on a smaller screen. So if I projected it onto a monitor, for instance, a screen, it would get stretched, and then it won't look so good. But on the screen it looks incredible. And I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful experience right there. I'm all for that. Um, so it plays all my games that I want to play, apart from my strategy games and things. And now I've started toying with different operating systems. I've started putting emulators on there. It even plays Nintendo Switch games exactly like the Nintendo Switch would look, and on a beautiful screen and a great handheld. So this thing is incredibly versatile. So the problem comes on its own. It'll be great. It'll be great. I can just put it down whenever I need to put it down. It's an auto. I even thought, do I really need my laptop? Because I'm that impressed with it. But yeah, I need my laptop because I need to be able to record my videos, and there's so much more I need to do. This thing, if you connected it right, I suppose it probably could, which is crazy because it's got Windows. Um, But again, once I sit down at my desk, for instance, and I've got my ultra wide curved monitor, it's like, oh, this is immersive. This is nice. Now, this is really nice, cinematic. But again, then you pick this up and you're going, oh, yeah, but this is nice too. This is nice. Um, there's only so many hours in a day. Now, I'm hoping that the time I've dedicated to this handheld is me just setting it up. But at the moment, I'm losing too many hours, and it's driving me mad. It's literally driving me mad. When you think about like happiness in general, I'm happier when I've got less occupying my mind because it can literally drive me to madness because of the frustration I have of myself. Because I have goals that are bigger than a distraction, you know. So I have like career ambitions and things like that, and things I want to achieve in this lifetime. Gaming is a great vice. It's something I enjoy, and it is a distraction from the mundane. And most frustrating, and a distraction just from life sometimes when it gets heavy. It's great, but on its own, if it takes over every other avenue of your life, that's not healthy and that's not great. 'Cause like I say, it's not the be all and end all, is it? So if you have big dreams for yourself, it's like don't allow a dream to fade just because of something's interesting. So yeah, I had a little epiphany just now. I was in the car and I just thought about it and I just thought, this isn't if it's I can't sustain this. So and in fact, like I said, fortunately I'm very self aware. So if it gets to the point where it's still consuming a lot of my time, it's not the fact I'm thinking about it all the time. That's nothing to do with that. It's more the fact that if it's consuming so much of my time, then I will have to let it go. I'd have to sell it. And I've only just bought it, but at the end of the day, as great as it is and as versatile as it is, it can't be at the detriment of other things. Um, I want more balance. Like I said, I've got books that I've read. I bought like a few sets of actual series of books, and I was truly enjoying reading them. I had a routine at night where I was just getting all cozy and relaxed. I've been collecting Blu-rays and like movies and music and things, and I enjoy sitting there and watch a film. It's simple, the simple things. And I enjoy doing those things around my work projects, my books and the audiobook and all sorts of things I've got to do. And I'm going to be I may be doing things on my website soon as well. These are time consuming tasks. But if I focus too much on the gaming side, then nothing else gets done. And it's something that I need to address. So if I think it's getting in the way and I really, and it's taking too much time, especially with my sleep patterns all over the place at the minute, that's not a good place to get to. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could argue it's just gaming and it's just a device, and if you can just find some self control, it's great. But it becomes, is it necessary though? Like, how many devices do you need? It's literally just a far more portable version of my laptop, which is great because if I'm sitting in bed, then I can sit and chill out if I'm sitting on a sofa. But this is where the issue arises, and this is why I'm not sure about taking gaming devices on holiday because I see people, and I don't do that just because I know I need to switch off. I know it's vital that I have a period where I'm not thinking, like it's a different part of life. And I think if every part of your life is completely consumed by something, then the obsession has really took hold. So if you're sitting in bed playing video games, you're playing video games in your spare time in a more permanent role, but then you're in bed playing a video game, and then you're sitting on your sofa playing a video game. It's like I don't think that's particularly healthy. Um, Again, it's not hurting anyone. And if you've got no other ambitions in life, and that's literally, it's something you enjoy, that's not a negative. It's not a negative if it's not disrupting anything. So it's not a case of one size fits all. But with me and my aspirations and what I want to accomplish, it's incredibly disturbing, to be honest. Um, and I've got to find a balance. I've just got to find a balance because it's not making me happy. It's making me exhausted. And yet I enjoy it in periods. And I was just thinking, like, literally just a little while ago, I thought, if you only got so many hours in a day, so if my hours were dedicated to working on my book project, recording specific episodes for podcast or the audio book, or doing anything like that, even if it's just the book though, even if I'm just like working on sections of it, like if it's editing or if it's writing the manuscript, if it's just like working on little parts, that's important because that's legacy. And then beyond that, if I can fit time to watch a movie, listen to music a bit more, even just chill out and read books, for me, that's just cozy. It and it does drive me mad because another part of my life, I could just as easily lose myself to gaming and be just as comfortable and particularly happy. I could be happy doing that, but because I have the other aspirations, it really becomes a crux. So if I didn't have my book projects, for instance, and the video series I do, um, and the legacy that I'm building, where I speak openly about topics, and I think authenticity is really important, and it's trying to show people to invest in themselves, be honest with themselves, and I think be yourself in its purest form. For me, that's really important that I play my part in that. That I help people identify themselves and raise awareness for things, really. And unfortunately, that doesn't tie very well with a distraction that consume days and heavy periods. And, I watch people do something similar. And like I say, they don't have an awareness, but even if they did, they try to pretend it otherwise. And it's completely consumed their every day, and I just think that's mad. So mine's controlled to a point. I don't go mental. So, like, if you're playing a multiplayer game, I don't go wild when it's like if I lose or something's happened because I just, I'm playing to relax. It's like that ain't relaxing to me. When it becomes competitive to the point of extreme, it means that every part of you is invested in that. Like that is your life. That is literally your goal. That's what it attributes to, and your self-esteem is tied to the performance in a video game. And, I've been there myself and I'm no longer there. And that's something that needs to heal. So if you ever hear someone going absolutely mental at the telly or their computer screen, wherever they're you playing, and they got overly competitive, it's just they need to heal that at some point because it makes absolutely no difference. There's another match after. There's another session after. It's just pointless. It really is. It's actually meaningless in the overall scheme of life. So I think it's a case of if you can't, again, that's something to heal. If it can't be controlled, then you have to take yourself away from it and literally start relaxed, find a way to relax and even just play like a single player games. And if you can't control that, then maybe you got to look at maybe living a life that's a bit different to what you are throwing yourself in, because sometimes people do things to avoid other things. Because that's a thing too. It's easy to throw yourself into video games. It's easy to do that and just pretend life doesn't exist and then just, you suffer and sacrifice so you can keep investing in it. And that becomes an addictive nature, doesn't it? Because you're living for the games. I mean, there's other vices too. It's just that's gaming's a big thing for me. But there's people that invest in other things. So they work themselves to death. They do overtime like crazy just so they can get more, buy more and more things of the things that are actually destroying them. Not good. But if we can find a balance to the things we love and the things we enjoy, then it's not an issue. So, like I said, with my gaming, I've just got to get it under control a little bit. Like I know I need to focus on this book, and it's getting to the point now that by the end of this week, if I've not worked on my finishing this audio book for the recent book that released in August, and or I haven't even started looking back at this manuscript because I've got to edit my books now. You could argue it doesn't matter. I normally work in spring anyway. Either way, I have no doubt that the next one would be out by March, April. March, April, May. There'll be another book either way because I'm relentless come spring. But I feel a real urge to be productive at the moment, and I think it's important. Um, but a part of me has a big rebellious streak where I just think, you know what, just shut that shit down. Chill out, relax, throw yourself in for the month because it's winter anyway. Who cares? And in some ways, there's nothing wrong with that because it's important we give ourselves periods to relax and rest as well, and maybe not put so much pressure on ourselves. It's again, the addiction could be that it's not the gaming, although I think it is. The addiction could be that strive for success, that ambition. That can be an addiction too. And although that's productive and it can have a lasting effect on your life in a positive way if you find success, I think that unhealed will actually drive you to burnout. So really, at the moment, it's my mind is in overdrive, and that's the thing that needs to be healed. It needs to calm down. I need to relax more. But all these things are mounting to the point where there's not enough hours in a day. Hence, why I'm not sleeping. why I'm really struggling, and then I'm pushing my body to the point of exhaustion to where it has to stop at some point, and I don't get a say in it. And I think when you get to that point where literally your body's shutting down because you pushed it to the brink, I think that's enough of a warning sign to say you're not getting control of your hours. You definitely have no control right now. And if you can't find control, then something's got to give. And like for me, like personally, I don't want to have to lose anything because I'd like to find balance in that. And for me, it's a challenge and it's a good test for me. But if somehow I fail that test, then I have no problem saying, look, you can't do this anymore. You can't do it anymore. Like it was okay when you're younger, but you can't be doing that anymore if you can't find a balance. And that's the challenge to myself. It doesn't mean I can pass the test. It doesn't mean I can find the balance. If I can't, I'll get rid of it and recognize that I can't game so much. I can play in pockets on my other computer, my main setup. But with that, I can control it because I have my microphone to do other content too. So like when I sit here, I don't sit here just gaming. I've got other things, and this is always my priority, by the way. So if I'm sitting here and let's say I want to play something, it's never the fault I want to play something. It's always like if I've got a video to record, that's over everything else. I'll do it. And if I've got time after, then I'll do other things. But lately, with this bloody handheld, because I've had to install a lot of things and I've had to do a lot of, like I say, putting emulators on it, putting all sorts of things and testing it, it's just the balancing act, the juggle. You think, oh, I'm going to go down, I'm going to watch a film. I want to watch a film. Oh, but then I've got this in my hand. Well, I can't watch a film and do this. I will keep the TV show. Like I like Big Bang Theory. So I can have that on in the background continuously on repeat. It probably drives someone else to madness, but it's like I love the show and I'm really happy like watching it. But then your days just fall into themselves, but all you're really doing is I'm doing the videos like this and working on this handheld, watching random YouTube videos and things. And sometimes it gets to like 9 p.m. and you're thinking, I don't even know where the hours went. Like, what the hell happened to the day? Like, what happened? I don't even understand what happened. Do you know what I mean? So if someone said in that instance, like, what have you done today? I don't know. I honestly haven't got a clue. I don't know where the hours went. Last thing I knew, I was just working on this. And it's just, that's not going to be your success. It's not going to be your glory. It's not going to be the best part of your story. I know that just rhymed. It weren't intentional. But it's like, what life do you want for yourself, I see myself in the future traveling, and I hope I am successful and I have that freedom to explore and just live an absolutely beautiful life. Like and I think that's something to consider. I don't mean for this to be heavily gaming, but I think it's a great thing to focus on because I think it just shows that isolated nature of it. I think we all have a dream of what we would love, and I think maybe some people haven't gone deep enough into it, but I do. I imagine it like the beautiful house, the swimming pool, living in a nice warm climate, not worrying about money. You've got enough money, you don't worry about that. You can travel, you've got just nice luxury things. You've got a nice life. But it's like a balance to that life, It's not like heavily one way or another. You're not like locked in a room and you're just isolated playing games. You're actually enjoying like being alive. So when you consider that of your perfect image of what life would be like, it doesn't, these little things, these addictions, these habits, these hobbies are not going to be what gets me there, And even once I'm there, I don't see that as the happy part. It's like I have an immense awareness of it. So, for instance, if I was wealthy, like if you was really wealthy, like fortunes, I'm even aware that a few years ago, I would have said I'd want the most powerful computer. I really want something great. I want one of those setups where you see people have done like the room and they've got some neon lights. When they make the room look really cool, like gaming room. I always felt that's what I want. I want a gaming room. Now I look and I see people with those setups, and I'm not jealous of it. Part of me thinks it's like it'd be nice to have nice things, but I'm not jealous of the setup because I'm like the money they've invested in that room. for me, you could have done so much else with your life instead of that. And it's like, I see it. And this isn't a judgment of them. And in some ways it is, but it's not overly critical. It's just an awareness of myself. If I was put in that situation, like, not only what does it say about me? Like, what sort of life is that? So you see it. And again, if they're happy, they're happy. It wouldn't be my happiness. So, sometimes you've got these couples who are both gamers, and some have that. They've got the desks next to each other. They've got the computer towers each next to each other. So there's a bit of a division between them, but they've got the setup here. They've got like multiple screens, got the lights in there. And, if you're looking for gaming paradise, that's gaming paradise. And they say, like, when you come home and you both spend your evenings doing this. And I'm looking thinking, that's a bit tacky. That's not my idea of paradise, it's not. And I think when I see that, that's what pushes me further away from it, because I'm like, that's not who I want to be. I don't want a relationship like that. I want a relationship where it's cozy. You cuddle up, you watch movies together, you cook together, you bake together, you travel together, you go out for meals together, you just do things together. You still have your pockets of windows where you can enjoy yourself, like, whatever their hobby is, whatever my hobby is, you're still free to go out, do whatever you want when you want, I wouldn't want someone in my pocket, it's not like you ask for permission to do things, everyone's free. But nowhere do I imagine the other person sitting next to me playing video games. If anything, I'd feel like I'm putting a lot of my habits onto them, and I wouldn't want that to affect them. So when I see someone's got all that and it's like that's their life, I'm like, oh my God, that's trapped. That's not freedom. That's not freedom. But again, it's to each their own. Some people, they're absolutely happy doing that. They love it. For me, I would get fed up. And then the problem is when you do a habit, for instance. So let's say you have got a relationship like that where you both got computers, blah, blah, blah. The problem with people in general is they always expect people to jump when they're ready to jump. So let's say you get bored gaming, all of a sudden you expect the other person to stop what they're doing, even though not long ago gaming was okay. And now, like, you're bored, so you're expecting them to stop what they're doing to join you with whatever you want. So every time every time it's right time for you. That's not how the world works, So you can't take exception to someone just because the time's now changed for you in the way you feel, So I think the way we establish our lifestyles is really important, and the relationships we have. So yeah, I wouldn't see that as a happy life. So it raises questions within my own life, like what is it I want? Because I'm actually truly happy like this. Like in periods, I can get immersed, but I lose too much time, and that actually really it disappoints me. If I'm honest, it disappoints me because I wish I could find balance. And you could argue if you really wanted to, you could. That's true. That is true. If you really, really wanted to, you could. But the reality is the time and effort it would take me to control myself and find a balance, I could just as well be doing something else. It's just the way it is. I could just be doing something else instead. And I think that's the reality, isn't it? I think when you're alone, you can do certain things like that. But again, if you've got other aspirations, like for instance, my books, it's like that. That's far more significant, isn't it? They stay with me for my whole life. I feel great about me, but what it does, it leads me to work on new projects. And effectively, the legacy gets built and you get better at what you do. So, for instance, like where I talk on camera now, a few years ago I was talking, but I didn't have the confidence in the way I deliver. And I see it in other people when they're just starting out. You can see this. There's a lack of confidence in them. It's not they don't believe in themselves. It's just more a bit timid, I think. And I see content creators, especially on YouTube, where I'm like, that one's great, that one's great, that one's great. And then maybe you see footage of them before, like maybe they show it, and you're like, wow, they've grown a lot. And that's what happens with content creation. And that's what happens with the writing. Like every project, So like, for instance, my writing from the first book to the recent one, it's improving all the time. My ability to storytell. So my ability to articulate what I feel, what I want to say. And the delivery through what I'm doing now. That comes because I've worked at it. And sacrifice, of course, because I take huge parts of my time to do it. So like even when I talk about it, sometimes the books don't take me like 3 months to write. But believe me, for it to take 3 months to write means I'm literally um, putting blocks on a lot of things to get it done because like my mind gets. If I'm not addicted to this, I'm addicted to that. But I think that's far more beneficial to be addicted to that because first of all, it can generate an income. It's legacy building. It makes me proud of who I am. I get better at a craft, and it also helps people. Um, so I do recognise that there's a more priorities in life, but hopefully I can get some sort of control of this situation. Because the reality is, if I can control it, it's not an addiction, is it? It has the potential to be an addiction, but it's no longer an addiction. So people wouldn't have to worry about that. So if I got in a relationship, for instance, and they heard of things and they might be on eggshells, like, oh my god, there's the potential, of course, but I wouldn't really prioritize um, things over people, if you like. Be nice to have a bit of downtime some way to chill. But it does beg the question, do you really need all these devices? And I think if other people have got multiples, um, maybe wonder, do you actually need it? Because I see people build massive collections. Like, for instance, let's say someone's got a Nintendo Switch. I see some content creators with this massive wall of cartridges, the boxes and stuff. And I'm like, bloody hell. Like, that's a lot. You can't possibly still play them. And you can't possibly, like, I don't know how you've got all that. I've got a big digital collection, though, so I can get it to a point. But I'm someone that can't hold on to physical things like that because it drives me to madness. It really does. But yeah, I understand some people do it for content creation though, because it looks cool. If you let's say you make content based on that, it makes sense that your audience can see that. But it's so can a green screen. Yeah, I thought I'd just talk about it really, just because it's raw with me at the moment. To be honest, it was like I've been wanting this handheld for a while. Not specifically this one. I do a lot of research on the ones to get, which one to get. Um, there's a few in this field at the moment that are available, and I was aware of it, but I was like, that's too expensive, especially when I've got the gaming laptop. If I was to get that, then really I could probably just sell the laptop and build a dedicated desktop because I like having that. But then for me, that if I do that, then it's a commitment. It's a more of a commitment because my laptop I can fold away. I can take it. It's more portable. So and you can also expand it. So like where I have connected it to an ultra wide screen, it's really nice. But where do you draw a line? Um, I don't know if it's been helpful at all to anyone really, but to be honest, I'm tired. I haven't slept. So when I say I haven't slept, I passed out in the evening sometime. I can't remember what time it was. It was just random. And I was so frustrated. It's like, God damn, it was the time. What time did I fall asleep? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I hate that when you have it, when it's a nap turns into like a mega nap. And it's like, and even if it weren't a mega nap, it feels like it, doesn't it? So you wake up and you're like, God damn, I've lost control. I've lost control. Um, and at the moment, I'm staying up ridiculously late, and I used to struggle to stay up late. It got to a point where I couldn't even do it. My eyes hurt. Now it gets to like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like wide awake. I'm like, I'm not even interested in sleep. What was happening around here? And then all of a sudden it's 2 in the morning, and I'm still wide awake. And I'm like, instead of going to bed, I'm making a hot beverage, or I get a can of Coke. I think I had that like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I'm like, I ain't going away. I ain't going anywhere. But that's just me on my own. It's a little destructive. But then it's winter. So anyway, I can make sense of it and rationalise it as much as I want, but I have to what it is. We have to decide what it is we want, and is it going to have a long-term consequence? So in some ways, like I could say, this is the Christmas period. It doesn't matter. I'm just relaxing. But is it going to continue on to the new year? And are these projects that I've got going to continue to get delayed? Because I don't want to be like that. I don't want to get to that point. My dreams are too big. My dreams are too big. Um, yeah, it's a tricky one because it's so good. Like it's hard to say get rid of something that's really really useful and so good. Like literally, it's like a portable handheld um, video game. And all like near that for all video games from history. So it's like pretty cool. Plus the PC games at the moment, like all the competitive stuff and some story based stuff and strategy. It's just everything and everything. But that comes into it as well. Even if you've just got the one device, but a million games that I got, it's like you can't. It's like octopus. Not enough time. It's weird that we've been given this opportunity to have this life and have so many opportunities with it. We all do different things, but we all also have a limited time. A day cycle goes too quick, and then the days fall into each other, so the weeks come to an end rather fast, and then the months fall into each other. And before you know, it's a new year. We're aging, and I think when life is that rapid, we have to find a way to make the most of it, and that's really what it comes down to. Like, what effectively what we got to ask ourselves is, what do you want from your life? In some ways, what do you want to be remembered for? Even though that doesn't matter really being remembered, it's what someone thinks of you is not really relevant. But still, I think it adds weight to the concept. And then what's going to get you there, you know? And when you think about some of the addictions and distractions and things, what's that going to look like in the future? It was a bit of a waste. Um, so yeah, and I'm someone that will not, and I've said it before, and I try to ingrain it in people because I see it in them. If you're in a relationship, for the love of God, don't push people away just because you've got an uncontrollable habit that is actually an addiction that's not healed, and you're not even either aware or you're just choosing to be ignorant of it. That is the saddest thing I think in the world. If you have a genuine love in front of you and you take it for granted and you push them away, you only have yourself to blame, but also it's so avoidable. And that would be a regret that some people will never get through. Because when you meet a love of your life, there's nothing that beats that. No money, nothing material. But yet some people allow things to get in between those situations, you know, and it's like that. It's just so sad. Because one day you'll see that person potentially with someone else, and you'll know that you lost that. Maybe you will not even take accountability, because I think that's the thing with people, you know. People always act like there's nothing wrong with them. It's like, well, me, you know, they're always nagging. Well, the reality is people are not there to be someone's puppet or pet. So if you're going to prioritize the majority, like I said, there's only so many hours to a day, and then there's only so many days to a week, and then the weeks fall into each other. Same thing. If someone's sitting around waiting for attention and waiting to get on with their life, and someone else is just sitting there making no effort in their life, and it's like they've just sort of like given up to the mundane, and they've got that addictive mindset, and it's consuming them, then why should someone else sit around waiting for that person when that person's showing no indication that they were going to prioritize anything or have a positive life? So let's say someone wants to travel and they want to do things. They want to go on holiday. They want to have experiences. They want to do things. Someone else just wants to sit there and play video games or just sit and watch movies. They just want to sit. And it's like, that's fine if that's what you want, but then you need to find someone that wants to live that life too. And, you know, what you can't do is expect someone to give up on their dreams. And that's the thing. So you either invest in each other or you go your own ways. And if you prioritize something over someone else, then that's a decision. But may very well be regrettable, because all some people have to do really is just make some time for each other, you know, build those connections, nurture those relationships, and strive for the life of your dreams. So like, I have a vision for my life and my dreams. And in all honesty, as much as gaming and computers are great for me, I love technology, I actually don't see it in my future, weirdly enough. So why should it have so much meaning now when I don't see it in the future? Because it's irrelevant in the end. You know, I see a relationship, I see love, and I see beautiful moments, beautiful memories, and a beautiful life. And I think that dream's better. But yeah, so I've got decisions to make myself.